What if the key to winning in life wasn't in control but in calm? What if the ones who thrive aren't those who force everything into place, but those who can stay composed when everything is falling apart? And what if I told you that the calmest person in the room is often the most powerful one in it? You see, we spend our lives trying to control every detail, planning, pushing, rushing, hoping that if we do everything right, things will finally fall into place. But somehow, the more we try to force life into submission, the more chaotic it becomes. The truth is, real power doesn't come from trying to grip everything tighter. It comes from mastering your mind, from learning to stay steady while the storm rages on. In this video, you're about to discover 11 powerful Stoic lessons that will show you how to stay calm and use that calm as your ultimate advantage. And this isn't just pretty philosophy or soft inspiration. These are real strategies tested for centuries by the Stoics' battle-proven wisdom that can change the way you respond to life's chaos. But before we dive into those lessons, let me share a true story that proves just how powerful calm can be. It's the story of James Stockdale, a man who didn't just study Stoicism, but lived it in one of the harshest environments imaginable. James was a U.S. Navy pilot, trained to stay sharp under pressure. A man used to having control over his missions, his plane, and his decisions. But one day during the Vietnam War, everything changed in an instant. His plane was shot down. There was no time to react, no time to plan. Just a sudden, violent impact and the terrifying realization that he was falling from the sky into enemy territory. Before his parachute even touched the ground, he knew his life would never be the same. He was captured, beaten, and dragged through the dirt like he was nothing more than wreckage from the crash. But his real battle began when he arrived at the prison camp. Isolated, tortured, and locked in a tiny cell, he faced the unimaginable not for days, not for weeks, but for 7 brutal years. 7 years of darkness, of not knowing if he'd ever see sunlight again, not knowing if today would be his last. Most men in that situation would break. Many did. They surrendered to fear, gave up hope, and allowed the suffering to crush them. But not James. Not because he was stronger or tougher than the others. Not because his body could take more pain. But because he had something unshakable control over his own mind. James was more than a soldier. He was a student of Stoic philosophy. And in the midst of agony, he remembered the words of Epictetus. It's not the circumstances that destroy you, it's how we interpret them. He couldn't stop the beatings, but he could stop them from defeating him. He couldn't escape the cell, but he could guard the one thing no one could touch: his attitude. So he made a choice. Instead of sinking into despair, he decided to lead. Secretly, he created a communication system between prisoners, helping them stay united, helping them resist mentally even when their bodies were broken. He reminded them that they still had power not over their captors, but over how they faced each day. He kept telling himself over and over, "This does not define me. I am stronger than this." And he survived. And when he was finally freed after 7 long years, someone asked him, "How did you endure that?" His answer was clear. "I accepted reality, but I never lost faith in my ability to overcome it." Stockdale's story reminds us that no matter how brutal the circumstances, you always have a choice in how you respond, and that choice can define your fate. So let me ask you, what's stealing your calm today? Is it a stressful deadline, a sharp disagreement with someone you care about, or just one of those days where nothing seems to go your way? Do you feel like everything is slipping out of your control, like life is moving too fast for you to catch your breath? If James Stockdale could find strength and clarity in the middle of unimaginable suffering, then so can you. Because no matter how chaotic your situation seems, there is one thing no one can take from you: your ability to choose your response. And that's exactly what this video will show you: how to reclaim that power in your everyday life. So let's get into it. Imagine for a moment that you're a Formula One driver. Your hands grip the wheel, the roar of the engine pulses through your body, and the track stretches ahead like a scorching ribbon of asphalt. You're seconds from first place, adrenaline at its peak, and then suddenly you lose traction. The wheel goes light, the car starts to slide, and the world feels like it's spinning out of control. This is the moment that defines the race. You have two choices. The first is to panic, let fear take the wheel, react without thinking, jerk the steering wildly in desperation. But we all know how that ends: you're off the track, in the gravel, race over. The second option: stay calm. Feel the car lose grip, but don't let chaos take over. Ease up just enough, make a precise correction, and take back control at the right moment. The best drivers in the world aren't the ones who go the fastest. They're the ones who remain composed when everything is on the line. They don't fight the chaos. They understand it, they flow with it, and they turn it into opportunity. Life is exactly the same. It's not about avoiding sharp turns or rough patches. It's about responding with clarity when they arrive. Look closely at the people who succeed under pressure, and you'll notice one thing they all share. It's not that life never throws them curveballs or that they're immune to difficulty. It's that when chaos hits, they don't flinch, they don't spiral, they stay steady, they stay present. Ryan Holiday, the author of The Obstacle is the Way, calls this a strategic advantage. He says true strength isn't in speed or dominance, it's in the ability to remain calm when the rest of the world loses its mind. And this idea isn't just motivational fluff. It's supported by neuroscience. A calm mind literally performs better. Marcus Aurelius knew this centuries ago when he wrote, "If you are disturbed by something external, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment about it." And today, modern science confirms it. When you react impulsively, it's not logic speaking, it's your amygdala, the part of your brain that flares up with fear, anger, and frustration. But when you manage to stay calm, you activate the parts of your brain responsible for reasoning, decision-making, and control. That's when you think clearly, when you make smart moves, and when you start turning obstacles into openings. So if calm helps you think clearer and respond smarter, then the real question becomes, do you train that calm before the chaos arrives? Neuroscience gives us a clue. When you remain composed under pressure, you activate your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for reasoning, decision-making, and long-term thinking. A study by the Institute of Cognitive Neuroscience in London found that people who practice calmness regularly not only feel less stressed, but also perform better in the long run. They don't let momentary emotions drive their choices. They respond based on strategy, not panic. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds great in theory, but how do you actually apply it in real life? Because it's easy to feel calm when you're watching a video or flipping through a book. But the true test? That comes when life suddenly flips the script, when you're blindsided by stress, and your grip on control starts slipping. That's why I want to give you two simple but powerful strategies you can start using today to build your mental strength. The first is what's called the observer technique. Picture yourself not as the one caught in the situation, but as someone watching it unfold on screen, like a movie. What advice would you give to the main character? This mental shift creates space between you and the chaos. It gives you a clearer, more rational perspective because stepping back, even just mentally, allows you to respond with intention rather than impulse. But here's the part that really sets the grade apart from the rest. Don't wait for a meltdown to start practicing this. Train your calm in the small, everyday moments. For example, imagine you get home from the grocery store, arms full of bags, you start unpacking and suddenly, the carton of eggs launches itself off the counter like it's auditioning for a stunt movie. Crack. Eggs everywhere. What's your first instinct? Probably to shout, curse your luck, and wonder why the universe seems personally offended by your presence. But pause. That momentous, that ridiculously frustrating, messy, tiny disaster is your training ground. Because if something that small can steal your peace, what happens when the stakes are real? If you can't control your mind when the eggs fall, how will you stay calm when your world shakes? Calm isn't something that magically appears when you need it. It's a mental muscle. And like any muscle, it needs consistent reps to grow stronger. So I'll ask you, are you still reacting like a rookie driver who loses their cool at the first unexpected curve? If you know that staying calm makes you sharper, more powerful, then why keep letting life knock you off course? And while we're on the subject of control, let's face something. Have you ever had one of those days where nothing goes as planned? You wake up with purpose, everything mapped out. Today's going to be productive. You'll crush that project, go to the gym, make a special dinner. Everything is set, but then your boss drops an unexpected task right in the middle of your morning. A friend cancels dinner. You call someone for support, and instead, they say something that completely wrecks your mood. Frustration creeps in. It feels like the day is slipping through your fingers. And here's where the deeper issue lies. We don't just want to control our schedule. We want to control people too. We expect others to act how we imagine, for things to follow our script perfectly. But life rarely does. So ask yourself, how many times have you tried to force everything into place, only to end up more exhausted and disappointed than before? When you realize that trying to control every detail only leads to stress and disappointment, the next step is learning how to truly let go. Think about how often you've tried to change someone to get them to see reason, to convince them to do something the way you believe it should be done. Maybe it's a friend who keeps repeating the same mistakes, no matter how much advice you give. Maybe it's your partner, and no matter how clearly you explain your point of view, they just don't see it. Or maybe it's your parents always worrying, always questioning your choices, and all you want is for them to understand where you're coming from. But they don't. And when they don't change, when things don't go your way, frustration builds, anger boils, and everything feels like it's spiraling out of control. But the real issue isn't the people around you, it's your attachment to the idea that you can control them. Naval Ravikant, an investor and entrepreneur, once said that suffering comes from the desire to control the uncontrollable. He was right. We waste so much energy trying to bend outcomes to our will, trying to force people to act a certain way or make life go according to our plan. But the truth is, the more you try to control what you can't, the more resistance you create and the more anxiety, stress, and exhaustion you accumulate. This isn't a modern idea either. Epictetus said it more than 2,000 years ago. Some things are up to us, and some are not. The ones who suffer are those who cling to what isn't theirs to hold. And science backs this up too. At Stanford University, researchers wanted to understand the emotional effects of uncertainty, so they created two different situations. In the first, participants were given a task where they had complete control over the result. In the second, the outcome depended on factors outside their control. Then they measured their emotional responses. What they found was fascinating. Those who accepted uncertainty showed less anxiety, adapted better, and maintained a more stable emotional state. But those who clung to the illusion of control felt drained, frustrated, and constantly stressed. So now the question is, which side are you on? Are you the kind of person who learns to flow with what can't be changed, or the kind who fights the wind, hoping it will change direction for you? If you want to live with less stress and stay focused even when life throws curveballs, here are two challenges that will strengthen your mindset. The first is called the "so what" challenge. Next time something doesn't go your way, ask yourself, so what? Will this still matter in 5 years? Because so often we give massive emotional weight to things that are completely irrelevant in the long run. Most of what stresses us out today won't even cross our minds months from now. The second challenge might feel uncomfortable at first, but that's the point. I call it controlled chaos. One day a week, stop planning every little detail. Don't schedule every hour. Don't map out every task. Instead, let the day unfold naturally. Allow room for spontaneity. Let go of the grip you usually hold so tight. You might be surprised at what happens. Your mind adjusts. Your stress drops. You realize that sometimes releasing control is the very thing that brings it back to you. Because life isn't a straight line, and trying to make it one only leads to frustration. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up, it means steering with clarity, even when the winds shift and the sea grows wild. Life isn't a straight highway where everything unfolds just as you planned. It's more like navigating open waters, where storms, waves, and unpredictable currents are part of the journey. You can't stop the wind, but you can learn to adjust your sails. That's where real strength lies, not in forcing life into submission, but in choosing your attitude, your mindset, and how you respond to each twist and turn. And one of the most powerful ways to anchor your mind in calm is to shift your focus from complaints to gratitude. Think of your mind as a garden. Whatever you plant there is what will grow. If you water it daily with frustration, negativity, and endless complaining, you'll harvest a wasteland filled with thorns. But if you nurture it with appreciation, even for the little things, the soil becomes fertile for resilience and peace. This isn't just poetic talk, science agrees. Researchers at the University of California, Berkeley, conducted a fascinating study. They divided participants into two groups. One group had a simple nightly task: write down 3 things they were grateful for, no matter how small. The second group could write about anything, with no particular focus. After several weeks, they measured the impact, and the difference was remarkable. The gratitude group showed increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain responsible for calm thinking, emotional stability, and wise decision-making. Their minds had literally been trained to focus on the positive, to manage stress with more strength and balance. The second group, no noticeable change. Their mental landscape remained dry and unchanged, like an untended garden. Can you see it now? Gratitude isn't a feel-good trick, it's a cognitive tool. And I say this not just from research, but from personal experience. I used to roll my eyes at the idea of writing down what I was thankful for. It felt silly. But eventually, I gave it a shot. Every morning, I wrote down 3 simple things I appreciated. Sometimes it was just a hot cup of coffee, a quiet moment, or a good night's sleep. And something shifted. Over time, my entire outlook changed. I realized what Seneca had said all along. It's not happiness that makes us grateful. It's gratitude that makes us happy. Picture this. It's Monday morning. You wake up, and the first thought in your head is that you need a vacation. That life would be better with a different job, a bigger house, more freedom. You splash water on your face, and your inner voice keeps echoing, if I had more money, if I had more time, if things were easier. But stop and ask yourself, when has it ever been enough? Because if peace only comes after everything is perfect, you may never find it. There will always be something more to want, something just out of reach. And in chasing all of that, the one thing you're truly losing is your peace of mind. But here's the thing. If a simple habit like daily gratitude can literally strengthen your brain and help you stay grounded when life gets tough, why wouldn't you try it? Just start small. Say thank you out loud at the beginning of your day, not as a mechanical gesture, but with real intent. Imagine opening your eyes, sitting up in bed, stretching your arms wide, and saying it like you mean it. Thank you. Yes, it might feel awkward at first, but try it anyway. You might just plant the first seed of a calmer, stronger you. Starting your day with gratitude doesn't just shift your perspective, it recalibrates your entire mindset to focus on what's already good in your life rather than what's missing. And when you end the day the same way, you reinforce a powerful loop of calm, clarity, and peace. That's why the next step is to write down 3 good things before you go to sleep. But don't just recycle the same phrases every night. Search for the small moments that made today unique. Maybe it was a perfect cup of coffee, a smile from a stranger, or a shared laugh with someone you love. Because if you don't train your brain to notice the good, it will naturally drift toward the bad. The human mind, left untended, is like a garden that grows weeds. You must choose what to plant. And then there's the third key: focus on what you have, not what you lack. Life isn't a game of crossing off endless boxes on a wish list. If you can't appreciate what's already in front of you, getting more won't magically make you grateful. Twice the money, twice the possessions, even twice the success won't bring peace if your mind is fixated on what's still missing. That sense of clarity and contentment you're chasing, it's not hiding in some future milestone. It's waiting right now in how you choose to view your current reality. So here's a simple truth you should etch deep into your mind. Complaining changes nothing. Gratitude changes everything. And once you truly understand that, you'll begin to see how your thoughts shape your life in ways far more powerful than you imagine. Let me share a story with you. A friend of mine, not long ago, received a diagnosis that turned his world upside down. A serious health issue, one of those things that makes time freeze and suddenly throws all your plans into the air. Everything became uncertain. His days were filled with doctor appointments, medical tests, and long waits in cold hospital rooms. But worst of all was what happened inside his head. Every morning, he woke up with the same cycle of questions. What if this gets worse? What if I never recover? Why me? With thoughts like these, every day felt heavy, like walking through fog with no end in sight. Until one day, while sitting in yet another hospital corridor, he heard something that cracked through the noise. It was Tony Robbins, speaking in a video playing nearby. And he said something striking. The quality of your thoughts defines the quality of your life. That phrase stuck. It echoed in my friend's mind. And then he remembered something. Hadn't he read something like that before? He started digging and realized Marcus Aurelius had written almost the same idea nearly 2,000 years ago. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. That's when something shifted. He couldn't change his diagnosis, but he could change how he approached each day. So he made a commitment. Every morning, before even getting out of bed, he would deliberately focus on one small thing to look forward to, something that made him smile, something that gave the day a reason. Today I'll look for laughter, he'd say, or today I'll savor time with my family, or today I'll remember what I still have. His condition didn't change overnight, but his mindset did. And with that shift came a new strength. Just like Marcus Aurelius, who didn't obsess over what might go wrong, but instead prepared his mind to face whatever came. That's the mindset that carried him through chaos. And now, I ask you, how are you using your mind? Just like Marcus Aurelius realized the power of mastering his thoughts, now it's your turn to shape the direction of your mind and decide what kind of life you want to create from it. Are you programming your mind to attract the best, or are you letting it overflow with fear, doubt, and worries that quietly sabotage your potential? Start by reframing your negative thoughts when you catch yourself spiraling into panic, saying things like, "This is a disaster," or "I can't handle this, take a breath and flip the script." Replace it with, "This is a challenge, but I can grow from it." Or, "It won't be easy, but I'll find a way." This isn't about faking positivity or pretending everything's fine. It's about developing the mental skill to spot solutions instead of sinking into problems. Second, pay close attention to the people around you. Negativity spreads like wildfire. And if your circle constantly complains, dwells on drama, and gives up easily, their mindset will rub off on you. Choose to spend your energy with people who challenge you to rise, who speak in terms of potential rather than limitations, who remind you that something better is always possible. Third, begin each day by visualizing positive outcomes. This isn't some vague fantasy, it's a rehearsal for how you'll face reality. Picture yourself walking through situations with calm, focus, and strength. Imagine how you want to feel and how you'll respond when pressure hits. Your mind will begin to accept those outcomes as familiar territory, making it far more likely that you'll live them out. Because your mind is the filter through which you perceive the world, and if you train it well, you'll begin to notice possibilities others miss, make better decisions, and evolve into your strongest self. So now, pause for a second and ask yourself, what exactly do you want to attract into your life? Drop it in the comments below. Write it with confidence, because everything starts with a single thought. Let's take it deeper now. Lesson 5. Your attention defines your reality. Think about it. When you walk down the street, what captures your focus? Do you notice the rush, the noise, the pressure? Or do you find beauty in the details, the golden light on buildings, the soft rustle of leaves, the unexpected warmth of a stranger's smile? Reality is the same for all of us, but how we experience it depends entirely on where we direct our gaze. It's like that famous bus meme: two passengers on the same road, one staring at a blank gray wall, miserable, the other soaking in the view of rolling hills and open sky. The difference isn't the path, it's the perspective. And life works just like that. If you constantly zero in on what's missing, what's broken, what's unfair, your world will feel like a prison. But turn your mind just slightly, and you'll see there's light, there's color, there's so much that's still good. Will Smith once said in an interview, "If you want success, happiness, if you want to reach your goals, you have to ignore the distractions and focus on what truly matters." And that's not a soundbite. That's a mindset. The truth is, your attention is your power. It's like an Instagram filter. The same scene, seen through different lenses, becomes something else entirely. A filter of stress and scarcity will make the world look bleak. But when you switch to a lens of presence and control, you see the strength you already carry. Now think about this. Where has your attention been lately? Has it been stuck on the things that make you feel drained, anxious, or powerless? Maybe it was a careless comment that hit too hard, a problem at work that spiraled out of control, or something on social media that made you question your worth. Whatever it was, take a moment and reflect. How did it shape your mental state? And now, imagine if instead of letting your focus settle on what went wrong, you directed it towards something good, something you had power over, a win from your day, no matter how small, a moment of quiet, a warm conversation that made you feel human again. Would your mindset have shifted? Of course it would. That's why if you're truly aiming to regain calm and clarity, it starts with what you allow into your mind. Think of it like a mental diet. Just as you care about what you eat, you should care just as much about what you feed your brain. Start filtering out the noise. Reduce your daily intake of negative news. Unfollow the accounts that only drain your energy. And ask yourself, does what I'm watching enrich me, or does it erode me? Remember, your mind is like a garden. Whatever you water, that's what will flourish. Next, learn to reset your attention when you catch it drifting into darkness. Don't stay stuck. Change your focus. Literally get up, take a walk, breathe in deeply, observe the world around you. Shift your internal question from, why is this happening to me? To, what can I learn from this? That change alone can rewrite the entire narrative of your experience. Third, be mindful of the company you keep. If you're surrounded by constant complainers, chronic victims, and people who see problems in everything, they will pull your mindset down with them. But if you actively seek out those who inspire, who push you to grow, who speak about goals, possibility, and progress, you'll start thinking bigger too. Like Epictetus said, where your attention goes, there is your soul. What you focus on becomes what you live. So choose wisely. If you train your attention to lock onto what uplifts you, you'll become tougher, wiser, and calmer in any storm. And now, let's talk about another critical truth. If you don't rest, your mind will shut down. Think about those times when you tried to push through exhaustion. You're staring at the screen, reading the same sentence over and over, but it's like static on a broken television. You down a coffee, then another. And still, you can't think straight. Worse yet, instead of stepping back to recharge, you double down. But let me ask, do you honestly believe forcing your way forward in that state will lead to better outcomes? Of course not. It only results in more mistakes, more frustration, and even less clarity. Here's what no one tells you: your rest isn't a luxury. It's a requirement. Just like your phone battery dies when you overuse it without charging, your brain also needs space to recover, recharge, and function at full capacity. Just like a phone that shuts down when its battery is drained and never charged, your brain reacts the same way. No amount of pushing, yelling, or forcing can bring it back to life unless you give it what it truly needs: rest. So why do we treat our minds as if they're immune to exhaustion? The Stoics recognized this long before neuroscience caught up. Seneca, with his timeless wisdom, once said that even the sharpest sword requires rest to maintain its edge. What's the use of a perfect blade if it's dulled by overuse? And by the same logic, What's the value of a brilliant mind if it's constantly overworked until it loses its clarity? Seneca embraced rest not as laziness, but as a necessary strategy to return stronger. He took time for reflection, for stillness, for renewal, and he understood that this pause was part of the process of growth. Modern neuroscience now proves what the Stoics sensed intuitively. Rest improves your memory, enhances learning, and strengthens your self-control. To make this easier to visualize, think of your brain as a whiteboard. Every day, you jot down ideas, tasks, emotions, and decisions. But if you never take a moment to wipe it clean, what happens? Eventually, there's no space left, just clutter, confusion, and chaos. Sleep true, intentional rest is what clears the board, resets your focus, and makes space for better thoughts, sharper decisions, and renewed energy. Can you see now why this isn't something optional? I know your mind might be jumping in with objections, but my schedule's too packed. My life is too hectic for proper rest. That's why I want to give you 3 practical strategies you can use, starting tonight. First, cut back on screen time before bed. You've probably heard this advice before, but don't ignore it just because it's familiar. The blue light from your phone or laptop confuses your brain, tricking it into thinking the day isn't over yet. So if you're lying in bed scrolling through videos or checking the latest news, your brain won't be able to power down. You're telling your mind to stay alert right when it needs to shut off. Second, create a simple evening routine. Nothing complex, just a few intentional steps to help your body and mind unwind. You could read a few pages from a book, reflect in a journal, or sit quietly in dim light and allow your breathing to slow. The goal is to send a clear message to your brain. The day is ending, and it's time to relax. Third, learn to listen to your body. This one might be the hardest, especially if you're used to pushing yourself beyond your limits. But here's a truth you can't ignore. It is not weakness. It's a form of strength. Athletes don't train nonstop because they understand that performance requires recovery. And you're the athlete of your own life. Your stamina, your focus, and your success depend on how well you recover between each sprint. So stop treating rest like an afterthought. It's not wasted time, it's the fuel for everything you want to achieve. Because let's be honest, if your path to success is built only on sleep-deprived hustle and caffeine-fueled chaos, how long will that path hold? What you truly need isn't more hours of anxious effort. You need more focus, more clarity, and above all, more calm. Now, let's shift gears and explore something powerful. The way you start your morning can shape everything that follows. Imagine this, Marcus Aurelius and Seneca transported into today's world. Marcus wakes up, grabs his phone first thing, bombarded with notifications, emails, and headlines. Someone's attacking him on Twitter. There's political turmoil at the empire's borders. He sighs, already stressed, and pours his coffee while bracing for another draining day. Meanwhile, Seneca opens his eyes, takes a breath, and asks himself one simple question. What kind of day do I want to have? No rush, no panic, just presence and purpose. He rises slowly, stretches, drinks water, and opens his journal to reflect with intention. After exploring how a Stoic like Seneca would begin his day with intention and calm, it's time to turn the spotlight on you. When you wake up each morning, are you moving with clarity or just reacting to chaos? Are you controlling your day or letting your phone do it for you? Picture this. One man wakes up and immediately reaches for his phone, drowning in emails, notifications, and social media noise. His mind is already flooded before his feet even touch the ground. Another man wakes slowly, opens the window to feel the morning breeze, and sets the tone for his day before any distractions take hold. One is dragged by circumstances, the other directs them. So let me ask, who do you resemble more in the mornings? The truth is, most people start their day on autopilot. Eyes barely open, they scroll through their phones, stuffing their minds with information, opinions, and stress before they've even stood up. They don't anchor themselves. They don't prepare. They just react. But what if you did the opposite? What if you decided to choose how your day begins instead of letting it choose for you? And this isn't just a motivational idea. It's backed by science. Dr. Rangan Chatterjee, a leading expert in health and wellness, explains that starting the day with a deliberate routine is one of the most powerful tools to reduce stress and increase calm. His research reveals that when people begin their mornings with intention reading, journaling, meditating, or even just avoiding distractions, their anxiety drops and their ability to focus skyrockets. So I'm asking you again, how are you starting your day? Let's make this practical. Imagine that today is your turning point. I want to walk you through a powerful, intentional morning routine. Don't just picture yourself doing it. First, when your eyes open, resist the urge to reach for your phone. For the first 30 minutes, keep it away. I know that sounds challenging, especially if you're used to grabbing it out of habit, but really ask yourself, do you need to start your day with an avalanche of alerts and opinions? Probably not. Instead, give your brain space to breathe. Now, replace that habit with something simple but powerful. Do something that gives you a sense of control, a small win to start your day with momentum. It could be making your bed, stretching your arms, sipping your coffee in silence, writing a single line in a journal, or sitting still for just 60 seconds of calm. The action itself doesn't matter as much as the energy behind it. Do it with intention. Finally, take a moment to visualize your day before it begins. Picture the challenges ahead, but more importantly, picture how you want to face them. Imagine staying composed when things go wrong. See yourself handling stress gracefully, focusing clearly, and feeling confident no matter what unfolds. Because when you visualize calm and clarity, you make space for it to exist. And if this idea of visualization feels abstract to you, don't worry. Very soon, we're going to explore how this single mental skill can transform the way you live. But for now, let's end with something real. I want you to think carefully, how are you going to start your mornings moving forward? Take a second, make it specific, and then write it down in the comments. Share it with this community. Because when you speak your intention out loud or write it, you breathe life into it. You make it real. And remember, this space exists to support your journey. We're walking it together. Because the way you begin your morning often becomes the way you shape your destiny. Let's carry forward the idea from before your brain becomes what it consumes. The clarity you imagine isn't just an illusion. It's a filter you've consciously activated. And this filter doesn't just work when you're shopping for a car. It works in every area of your life. That's why Epictetus could distill it into a single, powerful truth. What you feed your mind becomes your reality. If your thoughts are saturated with limitations, struggles, and the belief that life is just a series of hardships, then guess what? That's exactly what you'll see over and over again. But if you begin shifting your focus, if you direct it toward growth, toward opportunity, toward movement, your mind will begin scanning your environment to match that narrative. Here's the key. Your brain doesn't know the difference between something vividly imagined and something physically real. Roxy Nafusi, an expert in visualization, emphasizes that vividly picturing your life isn't just a daydream, it's a training tool. Your imagination can rewire your neural pathways. Want proof? Try this exercise. Close your eyes and picture your dream home. Don't just think of it, step into it mentally. What's the color on the walls? How does sunlight fall across the floor? What scent fills the room? What sounds do you hear in the background? How does it feel to walk through the space? Now, go further. Picture every step it would take to actually reach that goal, not as a fantasy, but as an achievable journey. Visualize the choices, the persistence, the little wins that move you forward. Can you feel it coming alive in your mind? That vivid picture becomes a blueprint your brain can follow. So how can you harness this power daily? Start by creating a mental script. Don't settle for vague intentions like, I want success or I want confidence. Instead, walk yourself through a scene. If you want confidence, see yourself walking into a meeting, speaking with assurance, holding eye contact. If your goal is to run a thriving business, imagine what your day looks like from the moment you pour your morning coffee to the last email you send at night. Your mind needs clarity, not abstraction. Second, build an environment that reinforces your vision. Notice how top athletes decorate their spaces with motivational quotes and images of greatness. That's intentional. Your surroundings shape your thoughts. So set up visual cues. Change your phone wallpaper to something that fires you up. Place reminders of your goals on your wall, your desk, your mirror, wherever you'll see them often. Fill your reading list with content that sharpens your mindset. You'll be amazed at how this shapes your inner climate. Calm doesn't come from numbing the noise. It comes from knowing where you're headed. And success? It's not random. It's the result of clearly visualized intention followed by deliberate action. And just like visualization sharpens the mind, learning to stay calm under pressure turns your thoughts into your greatest ally. Think about it, those who win in life aren't always the ones with the best tools. They're the ones who know how to stay steady when everything around them spins. In poker, the true professionals don't flinch, don't blink, and definitely don't give anything away. They sit quietly, composed, unreadable. Because just like in life, in poker, the one who loses controls everything. Now imagine this isn't a game of cards, but a real-world confrontation. Someone tries to bait you with anger, to provoke a reaction, to pull you into their emotional chaos. If you snap back, if you react without thought, you've already handed them the win. But if you pause, breathe, and choose your response, you take the power back. Picture yourself in a heated argument. Your heart is pounding, adrenaline rushing. Your thoughts racing to find the sharpest words to defend yourself. Every part of you wants to fire back. But what if, right in that moment, you chose stillness instead? That moment, that pausius, where real mastery begins. The Stoics lived by this discipline. Marcus Aurelius didn't lead an empire by screaming at his enemies. He led by remaining calm, thoughtful, and anchored. He once wrote, "Calm yet determined, cheerful yet steady. That is the man who follows reason in all things." That's your goal. Because your mind can either be your strongest weapon or your worst saboteur. It all depends on who's in control you or your impulses. And when tension strikes, where do you begin? You begin with your breath. It might sound too simple, but it's everything. If you can't control your breath, you can't control your mind. And if your mind's not under control, neither is your life. So next time stress hits, try this. The 4 to 7 -8 technique. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale for 8. This simple pattern resets your nervous system and shifts you back into clarity. And remember this, if someone lashes out at you, it's probably not about you. Maybe they're having a hard day, maybe a hard life. Maybe they've never learned to master their own thoughts. But you have a choice. You don't have to join their chaos. You can rise above it. Because in any conflict, the one who yells loses. The one who breathes wins. So when life provokes you, don't rush to respond. Stop. Inhale. Think. Then speak. Because true strength doesn't lie in reacting fast, lies in responding well. The real victory belongs to those who know how to wait, to think, and to act with intention. And that kind of control, it starts in silence. That kind of control, the power to breathe, pause, and respond with clarity, can only take root when you learn to embrace silence. But let's be honest. How often do you truly let yourself be still? You wake up and immediately check your phone, step outside, and the world bombards you, horns honking, people talking, music blaring from every direction. Then you get home, turn on the television, check more notifications, scroll through endless content. Without even realizing it, you've filled your entire day with noise. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You're not doing it by accident. You're doing it because silence feels threatening. It makes you squirm, makes you confront what's underneath the surface. So, you drown it out. But silence is not your enemy. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It's a door. And behind that door is a world most people never get to see because they're too busy avoiding it. In the film Eat, Pray, Love, the protagonist escapes the noise of a life that no longer fulfills her. She goes on a journey, not through chaos, but into silence. At a retreat in India, she faces her toughest opponent, her own mind. At first, her thoughts scream at her. Anxiety floods in. She wants to run. But then something shifts. The external world quiets down, and for the first time, she hears what she truly needs. Not advice, not feedback, just the voice inside that had been waiting to be heard. The Stoics knew this truth well. Seneca once said, "We suffer more from the noise inside our heads than the noise around us." We replay our past, dread our future, and drown in mental clutter. But if you can learn to find peace in silence, you can find peace anywhere. And modern science agrees. A study at Duke University revealed that silence doesn't shut your brain off, it turns it on in a whole new way. Imagine searching for something in a messy room. You're digging, opening drawers, looking under things, but the harder you search, the more lost you feel. Then you stop, you breathe, you clear a little space, and suddenly, it's right there. That's what silence does. It activates what's called the default mode network, a system in your brain that helps you connect ideas, solve problems, and uncover clarity. It's like your mind finally gets a chance to organize, to reflect, and to reveal answers that were always there but hidden under the noise. So if your mind feels like a constant storm and clarity seems impossible, here's where to start. First, unplug for just 30 minutes a day. No phone, no conversations, no noise, just quiet. Do it in the morning, before bed, or any time you can steal for yourself. Second, take silent walks. No music, no podcasts, just you and your thoughts. It may feel strange at first, but with time, Those quiet walks will become the moments where your best ideas are born. So as we explored the power of silence in organizing your thoughts and finding clarity, there's one more key that can shift your entire mental state, something surprisingly simple yet incredibly effective. Your hands. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who couldn't sit still, not because he was restless or impatient, but because his mind overflowed with questions. Observing the world wasn't enough for him. He had to touch it, break it down, and rebuild it to truly understand. He spent hours drawing, inventing machines that didn't even exist yet, studying anatomy with relentless fascination, and writing endlessly. But here's the fascinating: Partha didn't do these things simply out of curiosity. He instinctively knew that his mind worked better when his hands were engaged. Whenever he felt stuck, he picked up a pencil and sketched. When thoughts turned chaotic, he grabbed a piece of paper and sorted them into drawings. And when words failed, his actions spoke instead. That was his secret. He didn't wait for clarity to come. He created it with his own two hands. That man was Leonardo da Vinci. A genius, yes, but also a man who discovered a truth that many people still overlook. When your mind is overwhelmed, the solution isn't always to think more, it's to act. So let me ask you, what do you do when your stress builds up? When your thoughts stack on top of each other like a messy pile? When anxiety makes your whole body freeze? Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic, once said that well-directed action brings peace to the mind. True calm doesn't come by sitting still and waiting for the chaos to pass. It comes when you move with purpose. Picture this: you're at work, and everything is spinning out of control. Emails flood your inbox, your phone won't stop ringing, and someone's asking you to fix something immediately. The pressure mounts in your chest. Your mind races like a broken record, skipping between 1,000 thoughts. You want to stay calm, you want to think clearly, but you just can't. And deep down, all you wish is to be the kind of person who remains grounded in the chaos, who responds with strength and precision instead of being swept away. Because those are the people who rise, the ones who get ahead. But how? When it feels like everything's burning, how do you stay grounded? The answer may surprise you. Use your hands. I know it sounds ridiculous. Your hands? Really? But trust me, it works. It's more than just a cute idea. It's about redirecting your energy. It's about giving your overthinking mind something simple, real, and physical to focus on. Start with just 10 minutes a day. Choose a hands-on activity. Draw, write by hand, cook something, repair a loose handle, trim the garden. You don't have to become an artist or a carpenter overnight. It's not about skill, it's about presence. When your hands are busy, your thoughts start to settle. Your breathing evens out. Your perspective sharpens. And suddenly, what felt like chaos becomes manageable. You're not spiraling anymore. You're moving. You're regaining control not by fighting the storm in your head, but by anchoring yourself in action. So remember this: the next time your mind feels like it's falling apart, stop thinking for a moment and start doing. So after embracing the power of using your hands to regain control over your mind, let's take that lesson one step further by turning it into a habit that reshapes how you handle life's chaos. Even in the middle of a noisy office, even when the day feels like it's falling apart, you can create a space of calm. Make it a consistent ritual, a pocket of silence in your schedule where you disconnect from the noise and give your mind permission to reset. Second, remove all distractions. Forget the illusion of multitasking. Turn off notifications, and whatever you do, Don't play music with lyrics that pull your focus away. Just you, your hands, and the task. That's it. When your mind channels all its energy into a single, physical action, stress doesn't just decrease, it evaporates without fanfare. Third, notice how you feel after. Maybe you won't fix every problem in your life in 10 minutes, but I promise you'll gain a clarity you didn't have before. Like the mental storm has finally begun to settle, even if just a little. Sometimes, when words fall short, your hands will speak for you. The quiet focus of a hands-on task can cut through mental noise louder than 1,000 racing thoughts ever could. So now I ask you, what's the first thing you'll do today with your hands to bring calm to your mind? Be brave. Share it in the comments. Remember, calm isn't the absence of chaos. It's your superpower. It's the key to making better choices, thinking with clarity, and building success without letting stress hijack your journey. Every day, you have a choice to train your mind, to choose your response, and to become someone who doesn't get swept away by the noise, but learns how to lead it. Don't wait for the world to get quieter. The real change begins when you learn to find stillness in the middle of the storm, when you focus on what's within your control and stop giving your energy to what isn't. And if you're still with me right now, drop this in the comments. I choose calm to guide my success. That's how I'll know you're one of the real Stoic warriors who saw this through to the very end. If you found value here, subscribe to the channel, tap the notification bell, and hit that like button so you don't miss what's coming next. And more importantly, explore our playlist, Stoic Wisdom, Mastering Emotions and Inner Strength. It's filled with powerful insights and timeless guidance to help you grow stronger, wiser, and more grounded every single day. This is your moment to rise. Stay calm, stay centered, and as always, keep walking the Stoic path.